Hey guys, so today we are going to be factoring quadratics using difference of squares. And this can only happen when you are subtracting two, two terms that can also be written as a pair of squares. So we're going to need a few things for this. Couple of things that I like to have is I like to have a list of the squares. Right? If you don't have these memorized, it's good just to write these down. Right? You just kind of need them with you as you're doing the problems. Also, what we're going to have is the formula. Right? We've got a squared minus b squared, so two numbers or two terms that can be written as squares, and then that's going to equal a minus b and a plus b. All right. So the first problem here. So we have x squared minus 9. The problem here is 9 isn't written as a square, but we can replace it as a square. If we look on our little list of squares here, you can replace 9 with just 3 squared. So now, instead of x squared minus 9, just x squared minus 9, we're going to rewrite that as x squared minus 3 squared. Awesome. So now it's written in this form. It's written in the a squared minus b squared form. So now we just have to identify what our a and our b is. Our a is just that first thing being squared. It's just the x. And our b is that second thing being squared. That's the 3. Awesome. So now that we know what our a and our b is, you just have to plug it into this side of the formula now. Right? This is kind of the easy part. We're just replacing a with x and b with 3. So we're going to say x minus 3 and x plus 3. And that's it. That's the final answer. And of course, since we're just multiplying the two binomials, binomials are commutative, which means it doesn't matter, or I'm sorry, multiplication is commutative, which means it doesn't matter which one you put first. You can put the x plus 3 first, or you can put the x minus 3 first. It doesn't matter. All right, so problem number 2. Now we have 4x squared minus 49. Again, the same problem. It's not written as two different squares. Even the first term isn't written as a square because only the x is being squared. So we have to replace 4 as well. If we look on here, 4 is the same thing as just 2 squared. So now instead of 4, we're going to go ahead and put 2 squared. And we're going to do something a little tricky here. We're going to write 2x, but now we're going to put little mini parentheses with the 2 and the x, and we're going to put a square outside. That means that not only is the 2 being squared, but the x is being squared too, right? Because we need them both to be squared in order for it to be 4x squared. And now minus, instead of 49, we're going to go over here and we're going to put this one. We know 49 just equals 7 squared. So now we're just going to say 7 squared. Awesome. And now we have it written in this form. We have the a squared minus b squared. So we're just going to go ahead and identify what our a and b are. Our a is 2x, and our b is just going to be 7 because that's the last thing being squared. Awesome. All right. So now we just have to plug it into the second part of our equation. We just have to put the a minus b and the a plus b. So our a is 2, or 2x. So we're going to write 2x, and then minus 7, and then 2x plus 7. And that is it. That is our final answer. All right, once you identify the A and the B, it's kind of easy after that, right? You just plug it in. All right, and our final one here. So I made this one look a little different. Normally, you have the x squared first, right? So now this kind of throws people off once you have it in different order. But order does not matter here, right? It's not gonna make a difference. We're still gonna identify our A. We're still gonna identify our B by replacing these with squares. We know 64 is the same thing as just 8 squared, right? So we're gonna go over here. Instead of 64, we're gonna go ahead and write 8 squared. Now, instead of 9, we're going to go over here, look at our list of squares, and we're going to replace it with 3 squared. Now, since it has the x with it, we got to be a little tricky. We got to put those parentheses with it, right? Or else only the x is going to be squared. If you don't have those parentheses, you're just turning the 9 into a 3, and that doesn't make sense. So you need the 3 being squared as well. That's why you need little mini parentheses. Now, our a in this case is not 3x. Our a is just the first term that's being squared, and that's the 8. But our b is now going to be the second term being squared. It's a 3x. So even though it looks different, it's still the same process. We're not changing it up. And now that we have identified our a and our b, we're just plugging it right into here. We're going to say 8 minus 3x, and then 8 plus 3x. And that is it. That is our final answer. All right. So yeah, even though it looks different, it doesn't matter, right? There's no rule saying that the x has to be first. You can put the constant first. All right. That's all I got for you. Go ahead and subscribe. That always helps. Leave any comments or like the video. That's always amazing. All right. Thank you guys so much. Bye.